What a sensational performance from the London Knights. Sam Hutton and Mike Kawhi picking up their first stage victory of the 2022 season. And look at what it means to Mike Kawhi. Look at what it means to Sam Hutton. And Sam in particular delivering a crucial double clear this weekend. Enough that was to get them over the line and pick up that victory. But there are a lot of championship stories, a lot of top four stories that follow this conversation. Because whilst it is London Knights that win the stage, the fact that the Berlin Eagles again finish above the Stockholm Hearts means that there is some breaking news as far as the championship standings are concerned. But before we unpack the Berlin Eagles and the Stockholm Hearts, let's show you then how London Knights were able to get over the line this weekend and put together a really, really strong performance. Because, as we mentioned, starting off with Sam Hutton on Oaks Groves Lath, making sure that he was clear all weekend long, opening up the door for Mike Kawhi. And whilst Mike Kawhi had 4 penalties in the opening round, well, he was perfect on Goldwyn in round 2. And that double clear kept them on a score of 4. And the Hamburg Giants, Stockholm Hearts, Rome Gladiators and Madrid in Motion, all that followed, were unable to keep their score near 4 penalties. And because of that, they were able to then get over the line. Now, the Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis Sport, your new official championship leaders, put together a really good performance again this weekend. Once more, they then turned to Ludger Beerdam and Christian Kukkuk. In fact, these two men producing the first double clear of the weekend. Miller and Mumbai once again doing the business after 4 penalties apiece in round 1. You could feel the tension after Ludger Beerdam jumped clear. And for Christian Kukkuk to live up to the expectation, to go on and deliver that clear as well, keeping them on a score of 8 penalties, it was enough to see them finish in 2nd place. Now, Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, came out a little bit later. They knew that there was no room for error. They could not afford a single rail unless they wanted to bring the conversation in around time. So, Marlon Vejr-Johnsen coming in for H&M Indiana, delivering a clear. And then Peter Fredriksson coming in for GCL again this weekend, as we had seen, clear in round 1. Everyone expecting him to go clear in round 2. An unlikeliest of errors for Peter Fredriksson. 4 faults from him. Here is a look at the overall championship standings. The Berlin Eagles are your new official championship leaders, who now lead the Stockholm Hearts by just 2 points. Shanghai Swans and Prague Lions stay in 3 and 4. But we already knew that this championship race was going to go down to the wire. In fact, Fredrik de Backer earlier on spoke about how this was going to be decided in Riyadh. We saw what took place in London. We saw what took place in Valkenswaard. And now another intriguing chapter in the storybook that sees the Stockholm Hearts and Berlin Eagles go head-to-head. Well, they have turned over a 30-point lead. And the Berlin Eagles now lead by just 2 championship points, with just New York and just Riyadh to come. There are 4 stages of jumping between these 2 teams to decide where the title for 2022 goes. Well, Prague Lions are fighting for their own battle, and that battle is for a GCL Super Cup semi-final. Peter de Vos making a horse change from NASCAR in round 1 to Momstupi de la Roque, knowing that the Grand Prix was in sight later on tonight, delivered a clear. And Niels Bruynseels clear in round 1 on Matador. Unfortunately, had a fence go down. He picked up 4 penalties and kept them on 8 penalties, but that 8 still keeps them in the hunt for a championship top 4 spot. We caught up with Niels Bruynseels after his round.
Happy and disappointed for that rail, but again, really happy with the performance of my horse. I think, to say it not in the nicest words, a shit rail. But I hope we can keep in the overall ranking our 4th place.
What happened?
maybe a little touch too close in the first one of the triple combination, and that's why I had to push him a little bit too much on the second one.
So Prague Lions still very much in the hunt for a top 4 championship side. But what about Madrid in motion? The team in pole position, the team that was looking to try and do the double, lead in round 1 and lead in round 2. And unfortunately for Madrid in motion, for Angelika Augustin Zanotelli, 4 penalties for her meant that they were not going to stay on their overnight score of 4. She added to their tally. The team moved to 8, and despite a clear from Eduardo Alvarez Aznar, the time was not on their side, and Madrid in motion moving down to 5th place behind Prague Lions. So once again, from a championship point of view, Prague Lions making up ground and keeping themselves ahead of those trying to challenge them for a top 4 spot. Heartbreak for Madrid in motion, in pole position, looking for a stage victory after so many podiums in the early stages of the year. But unfortunately now things have fallen away for the team. Now, Rome Gladiators, the home team, were looking for back-to-back podiums after doing so in Valkenswaard last weekend. Beth Underhill and Nina Malave once again coming out for the team as they did in round 1. Beth Underhill, 4 penalties in round 1, clear in round 2. And Nina Malave, who was clear in round 1, was unable to reproduce that, to replicate that, as we saw her coming, I beg your pardon, with 2 different faults. 8 penalties for Nina Malave. It took the Rome Gladiators to a score of 12, and it sent them right off the podium. Here are the live pictures from the Circo Massimo in Rome as we get ready to go down to the winners' celebration, the podium shots. And the London Knights find themselves in the front of that list. Sam Hutton and Mike Kawai will be the last team to get onto that podium. They will finish, as we mentioned, ahead of the Berlin Eagles and the Stockholm Hearts. A double clear for the team today. And Sam Hutton in particular, clear all weekend long. What a strong performance from this team, who believe that there is still a lot to chase for the rest of the season, and will now certainly start to feel an increase in excitement and anticipation when it comes to the GCL Super Cup in Prague. So whilst don't we go down to Rome, watch your top 3 teams enter the arena for the final time and go on to join up the podium. Your top 3 finishers in Rome.
Points behind the Prague Lions. That is quite some leap. The Prague Lions had a points lead over Valkenswaard United at the start of today. Of course, that lead is very much bigger now with Valkenswaard's difficult day.
Here today, they come out on top for the Global Champions League with Sam Hutton, Mike Kawai. Give it up for the London Knights.
Jan Tops, of course, the founder here of the Global Champions League and the Longines Global Champions Tour, is ready to join in with the presentation of awards. The Berlin Eagles, I wonder if you'd have asked Ludger and Christian at the start of today, can you beat Stockholm? I'm sure they'd have said yes, actually, because they are competitors, but did they really believe it, truly? It is quite some rise through the rankings. They moved up, what was it, 7, 8, 9 places today. 9 places they moved up. Brilliant, brilliant performance. Well, as they come out, of course, they will all dismount in a moment as they will get ready to step up onto the podium here in Rome. They look really calm and relaxed about they've done the job. And I know sportsmen, when they're in that zone, they sort of, we've done the job in their interviews, but you just know what it'll have meant to the pair of them. The London Knights, of course, have got a great history in this Global Champions League. They won the Super Cup back last year. Now they'll be looking to try and give themselves a semi-final slot automatically again this year. They were the league winners back in 2018 and 2019. Quite a changed team now this year, but they certainly have found that winning touch once again, and they'll be absolutely delighted with that. So we see it is the Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M that step up there in third place. Well done to Marion Bayard Johnson and H&M Indiana, Peder Fredriksson, H&M Christian K, and a jump in the clear. Peder, unfortunately, having the fence down. Here they come, Ludger's running up to the podium. He wants that second place. He's delighted, Christian Kukuk, and well done to Ludger Beerbom there, Mila and Mumbai. But here they come, the winners of the Global Champions League round in Rome. Mike Kawhi and Goldwyn, Sam Hutton and Oak Groves Laith step up to the top. And off come the caps. It's time to celebrate. What a great day. Presentation time out there. Trophies all round. Third place and a 2-point reversal in terms. They were 2 in front, they're now 2 behind. But it just keeps it close. We, as fans, couldn't have asked for any more than what the Berlin Eagles and the Stockholm Hearts have delivered for us, because nobody went and stole a bigger advantage here in Rome, which just means we go to New York and get as excited in a few weeks' time. So great performances from the very best riders in the sport. Peder Malin in third, Ludger and Christian in second. You know that the relationship between those two has been key to the rise and success of Mike Kawhi. Jan Tops, his mentor and trainer. Sam Hutton, of course, who has been based for so many years with Abdul Saeed, Belgian rider that has been influential in his career, and will be another member and another team rider in the London Knights. Will be absolutely delighted for Sam, I'm sure. Look at that for a picture and a shot. It is podium celebrations. This is Super Saturday here in Rome. Still to come, the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix. 300,000 euros, a golden ticket on offer for the Super Grand Prix. The best riders in the world will look to their individual rankings and the Tour prizes. But this will have a lot to follow after the excitement of the Global Champions League here. 2 days of twists and turns, ups and downs. There was no way of knowing what was going to happen. The crowd have been treated to an absolute thriller that has had massive impacts as well on that overall Global Champions League table, as we know. What a big jump up the order it has been for the London Knights. A win today has hurtled them like a rocket ship from 5th place, well, up into 5th place from 10th place when they started out. To see the top of the league change hands after what in 3 weeks has gone from a 30-point lead to a 2-point deficit for Stockholm Hearts, as the Berlin Eagles now swoop to the very top. It is going to be a lap of honor time.
We see your top 3 finishers in Global Champions League Rome 2022. And what a weekend it has been for the London Knights, for Mike Kawhi and for Sam Hutton. But you saw the smile on the face of Ludger Beerbom, the hop, skip and a jump up to 2nd place on the podium, because he knows that those championship points are enough to make the Berlin Eagles the new championship leaders. And there is no denying that there is an absence of a smile on the face of Peder Fredriksson and Malin Bayard Johnson. Yes, they podium. Yes, they bring up championship points, but there are not enough of those championship points to see them hold on to the championship lead. So stay with us here on GCTV. We'll take you through some more moments from Global Champions League Round 2, remind you of the tables, and of course, start getting you ready for the LGCT Grand Prix of Rome tonight as well. We'll be back in a moment.
The Enviro Green Blanket is made of non-toxic and recycled textile. It's breathable and gentle to my horse's skin. Very effective in isolating heat and regulating temperature. It's the perfect rug to support the well-being of my horse.
Lamisil. The future is green.
city that never sleeps. The biggest show-jumping circuits are coming to New York. Right across the Statue of Liberty, surrounded by the amazing Manhattan skyline, teams and riders will battle for the championship titles with the world's best horses for the penultimate showdown of the season. New York, from the 23rd to the 25th of September on the Governor's Island. In the heart of Europe, shaped by emperors, authors, and artists, Prague is a city like no other. And the host of the 2022 Show Jumping Playoffs, a unique horse riding spectacle with the best riders of the season. Global Champions Prague Playoffs from the 17th to the 20th of November.
Welcome back to GCTV, and let's continue looking back at the action of Global Champions League Round 2 that saw a massive championship swing. We shouldn't say massive, but the news that the fact that the Berlin Eagles have now become the new championship lead as well, that is massive news. Now, the Rome Gladiators, as you mentioned, the home team, unfortunately unable to try and get over the line today. We were expecting and hoping big things from the hosts, as were the fans in attendance, and unfortunately Beth Underhill and Nina Malovey unable to get over the line. They eventually finished on 12 penalties at the end of the weekend, and that was not enough to see them finish anywhere near the podium, as they now miss out. There was a clear for Nina Malovey in round 1 and a clear for Beth Underhill in round 2, but it was not enough to get them anywhere near the podium. Now, let's continue to look through on the day. The Shanghai Swans in particular also are trying to keep pressure on the rest of the teams that are above them. They find themselves comfortably in 3rd place, and it looks as if they are now in a good position to hold on to the championship top 4 spot. They feel as if a GCL Super Cup semi-final spot is theirs and theirs alone. But before we get into the Shanghai Swans, before we start looking as to how they performed this weekend, I believe that Sam Hutton is standing by for us. Sam, thank you very much for your time today. What a superb performance from you individually and from you as a team as the London Knights. How are you feeling?
I feel so happy. I'm really, really happy with my horse and my team. Everyone stuck together. Abdel was there helping us. So, no, it was a really, really great feeling. Great day.
Sam, knowing that there were a handful of teams still to follow, what was the discussion with yourself and Mike? What was the score in mind that you had that you thought would be good enough? Was a double clear the only option?
Yeah, I think a double clear was the main thing, and we wanted to try and do a few tight turns to keep inside the time allowed, because 5 teams are on the same score, so we knew basically that we had to be clear and tight.
Sam, does this reignite ambitions of a potential top 4 finish? A great history in Prague for the team. Can that perhaps be repeated in 2022?
I really hope so. Fingers crossed. We're going to be fighting for it, that's for sure.
And then for the rest of the year still to follow, Sam, we still have New York and Riyadh to follow. Is this a springboard for more podiums for the London Knights from the final 2 events?
Definitely, we're going to be fighting for that.
All right, Sam Hutton, thank you very much for your time. A huge moment for him and as a team. The London Knights finishing top of the podium today with their first victory, by the way, of the 2022 Global Champions League season. Now, we were talking about the Shanghai Swans. Let's bring them up and show you what took place today in Global Champions League Round 2. There were some changes for the team. Christian Allman and Malon Zanatelli both making horse changes, like a diamond and solid gold coming in. Allman with a clear, and Malon Zanatelli difficulties in round 1 with 8 penalties, and unfortunately getting stuck in the combination once more. 4 penalties for Malon Zanatelli, and he is a far better rider than those 12 penalties that he picked up over the weekend. We caught up with Christian Allman after his round. Do they feel that they are still in the championship hunt?
Want to do as good as possible. Have a very good position. and my horses jumps well, and so everything is possible, but it's not so easy. So everything has to work like it should be, like you wish for, and you need your day also. But we are working on it, and we give our best.
Valkenswaard United were the first team out the gate today for GCL round 2, and we actually landed up speaking to Gilles Thomas before the round, and he was talking about a potential double clear. And unfortunately for the team, a double clear was not able to be given. Instead, just 4 penalties in round 2, 4 for Laura Kraut and a clear for Gilles Thomas. But there was a potential scary moment for Laura Kraut and Calgary. There was an approach to an incorrect fence, and very well corrected by Laura Kraut. Here you can see Calgary shaping up for the jump, and Laura Kraut, expertly so, just redirecting the 10-year-old gelding, getting Calgary back on direction. And unfortunately for her and for the team, those 4 penalties obviously still coming later on. And then Gilles Thomas delivering the clear, keeping Valkenswaard then on a combined score of 20 penalties. That saw them finish well down the standings this weekend. That puts their chase for a top 4 under severe doubt, now with just New York and Riyadh to come. We caught up with Laura Kraut to hear about that moment.
It's such a bummer, actually, because he really jumped so well. Still, maybe not the steering that I wanted, but he gave it such a great try and just, yeah, let down behind over the last jump.
But what happened exactly?
You know, my original plan was to add an extra stride there to have the 5, but I found such a forward wind coming into the line. I knew I had to have 4. Maybe I was a little aggressive because he's such a small horse, so I knew the 4 would be very forward. So I probably overdid it on my end, and it just made him be a little bit too quick behind.
How did you adjust?
Well, I mean, I think from yesterday to today, I think it was a little bit, he was a much more rideable horse today than yesterday, but still at this level, I'm having to sort of find new ideas because I'm having to ride him stronger. So he's just, when it's 1.45 meters, he's easy to ride around. At this moment, I'm trying to figure out how to ride the bigger rounds with him. He gets pretty strong for a little guy.
So still a big smile on the face of Laura Kraut, and a very good adjustment, very good correction for her earlier on today in GCL round 2. So how does all of this translate then onto championship standings? How does all of this end in the standings of Rome now that we get to say goodbye to GCL of Rome 2022? Well, let's bring up the standings and show you then how things have changed, how things have moved along. Firstly, let's look back at how things ended this weekend. Confirmation of your top 3. Prague Lions and Madrid in Motion finishing 4 and 5. Shanghai Swans probably won't be too happy with their 12 penalties as they finish in 6th. And Paris Panthers, again, just unable to put together 2 really strong rounds, finishing in 7th place. But the big talking point is all about the impact that has on the championship standings. And as we see, London Knights now jumping up to 202 points. They are now just 7 behind the Prague Lions. And with the 2 events still to come this year, can knock on the door, can put the pressure on the Prague Lions and Paris Panthers for a GCL Super Cup semi-final spot. But a 30-point lead going into London has now been turned over, and it is a 2-point lead for the Berlin Eagles with just 2 stages left in the 2022 Global Champions League season. As we mentioned, we have New York and Riyadh to come. The Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis Reisport, now lead by 2 points. And we'll be looking at those final 2 events to really try and drive home that advantage. The momentum has been enormous. And now how then will they be able to go on and maximize that? Stay with us here on GCTV. There is so much more to come on Super Saturday, including, of course, the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Rome. But from the Global Champions League, it's victory for London Knights and new championship leaders in the Berlin Eagles.